Hello beautiful people, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. In today's video I want to talk about Red cameras and specifically the fact that Nikon has purchased Red and what does that mean for our older Red cameras. As always, if you have not done it yet, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel in our growth, and it makes it where we can make more videos and bring you better content as we go. If you have watched this channel for any length of time, you know that I own the Red Scarlet X, which is right here to my right at the moment. And I really love this camera, and more specifically I love older Red cameras kind of for the system itself, the operating system, the way it records media, the build of the cameras, and they've kind of carried this over into their newer cameras as well. Even the Komodo is kind of like a compressed down version of that. Last year when I bought this camera, there was a lot to consider because at the time and still Red does not support service for these cameras or sell any of the things that come with them, such as the Red mags or the accessories and the modules and all that good stuff. So it was kind of a risk purchasing the camera. The good news is nowadays you can get these older Red cameras for super cheap, less than $3,000 and sometimes even less than like $1,500 depending on the model that you are going for. Now that being said, you are taking a risk because like I said, you cannot get them serviced by Red. There are individuals out there, I found some people in LA and in Atlanta that do work on these and actually do a really good job, have really good reviews, but you know, there's going to be some additional costs there if you do have to have the camera worked on. Now, when Nikon bought Red, it was kind of a shock to the industry. In fact, I remember making a video about it the next day. I went on a cruise and I came back and the video had quite a lot of views. No one was really asking the question, what does this mean for the older Reds? Because they were already in sort of a state of non-repair, if you will, and I think that's only going to get worse as we go forward. But let's talk a little bit about how that might be kind of a cool thing. You know, these older Reds, especially when you get up to like the Scarlet X, and then the second wave of those cameras like the Dragon and the Epic, they still produce such an amazing image. So the fact that you can get them so cheap is really cool, and they're going to start becoming more and more rare. So I don't see myself ever selling this camera, mainly because I love the image, number one. Number two, I just like the workflow of the entire camera. I actually love the mags that people complain about. I love them because they're nice and sturdy, built like a tank. And then thirdly, this is a part of history. If you look at Red, when they came into the industry, they made a big splash, and they were disruptors, and are disruptors to this day. And so I'm proud to be a Red owner, not only for the first 2 points that I mentioned, but also just because this is a part of cinema history, because they were basically the first camera company that was bringing an affordable cinema camera that shot digitally to the market. Now, going into Nikon purchasing Red, the future is really unknown, to be honest. Now, there's a lot of people speculating on whether Nikon will build a flagship cinema camera and use this technology that they now own to integrate into that camera. Red has come out along with Nikon and spoke about how they are not really going to touch Red. Red is its own standalone company. They are going to cross the technologies and use them to benefit each other. I actually had the chance to hang out and talk a lot with the folks at NAB at the Red booth and Nikon booth. What I did find interesting about their areas, and I wish I would have gotten some footage of this, at the Nikon booth, Red had a very small corner of that booth. And when I say a small corner, it wasn't much bigger than this little makeshift set that you're looking at here. And I thought that was kind of interesting. You know, in the past, Red has been known to have a booth and then not have a booth. So it's not, I guess, not that weird from that standpoint, but given the acquisition, maybe they just didn't have anything to roll out and they just wanted some people there to talk if you did have any questions. They actually only had one camera on display, at least in that little Red section. They had like a V-Raptor, and then they had a few more Reds in the Nikon area that were mounted to different cinema rigs with different lenses. I didn't really spend a lot of time in that area. I did talk to the Red guys a lot, but just kind of an interesting token there. The fact that they were displaying Red at the Nikon booth, I think, was just like a calling card, like a reminder that we now own this company, but there really wasn't a lot to see or talk about new per se. The other idea is that they're just going to keep being standalone companies, and that doesn't really make a lot of sense to a lot of people. And if you go in the description here, I have a video that Tony Northrup did. In my opinion, Tony's channel is probably the best for camera history and camera news. Maybe him and Cindy D, but it really depends on what you're looking for. They're more, Cindy D's more on the tech side, he's more on the business side. So he has a really good video that I'll put in the description that kind of goes through all the weeds of this acquisition and what he thinks, and I think his opinion is really valuable because of his experience. So definitely check out that video. But it's interesting what he says in terms of it doesn't really make sense to have a standalone company, or for the companies to remain completely separate, because then where is the advantage? And if you saw in recent news, like super recent news, they did demote the CEO, Jared Lang, I believe, Lang, whichever one it is, I apologize. They demoted him, and he is now an advisor to the company, which is pretty normal in terms of acquisitions. I've been part of companies that got acquired, and they would normally keep on the owners for 6 months to a year. That way, if there's any loose ends or skeletons buried, they know where they are and they can help out with that going forward. Let's talk a little bit about Nikon's culture versus Red's culture. Clearly, Red has a really cool culture. I think it's what's drawn most of us to their cameras. That and the image. I actually remember Red putting out some videos on their YouTube channel a long time ago when they were releasing their newer cameras at the time that were called Why Red, right? And those videos really encompassed, if I can find them, I'll put them on screen. They really encompassed the style and the culture of Red, which has always been, groundbreaking, rule-breaking, disruptors of the industry. I mean, they have like skulls on their cameras. They always name them something crazy, like the Raptor or the Scarlet X or the Red Raven or the Monstro. I mean, they've just got cool names. The thing looks sick when you're carrying it around. So their culture is definitely something to note. And then if we contrast that with Nikon's culture, which is very clean cut, corporate, technical, clinical, if you will, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is funny that there's so much contrast between the two companies, and so it's going to be really interesting to see, because Nikon has just appointed a new CEO of Red, and if you look at the guy, nothing against him as a person, but if you look at him, he just kind of encompasses that clinical, very corporate culture of Nikon. And so it's going to be interesting to see, how does he gel with the people at Red? Is Red going to change? Or is he going to let it kind of culturally flow and keep Jared alongside? That way he can kind of keep that culture going, and he's overseeing the finances and stuff. That would be my hope, because I don't think that Nikon coming in and handling the accounting and the finances and sort of the logistical business stuff is necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it might be a great thing to kind of have. It's kind of like when you have a married couple and one of them's like really good with the books and really good with the money and really good with the organization. The other one just knows how to get that money flowing in. They're just a go-getter. It's good to have those two people, because that's what I think probably me and my wife are. But it's good to have those two people because you can complement each other, and it really does help you make a great team. So I'm hoping that Nikon and Red are going to be this dream team of responsible meets edgy. That ain't good. Sorry guys, my light was just going nuts. Alright guys, that kind of does it for this video. I just wanted to step on here and just talk about basically Red cameras in general, and just where this industry is going and where these cameras are going in the future. If you are interested in picking up one of these older Red cameras, I personally would suggest sort of getting your bearings on them. Go on eBay. They've got every model, pretty much available at the moment used. As we know, with anything that is discontinued and anything this cool is gonna become more and more rare. I'm really happy that I got my Red Scarlet X when I did, and I do intend to probably eventually sooner rather than later get a Dragon 6K epic body, because to me that's like the pinnacle of it. And yeah, this I want to become my B cam when using Red. Of course, I have a ton of cameras. Do I need another camera? Do I need another camera? Yes. The kids say yes, I do need another camera. But no, I have big dreams, and who knows, maybe a Red Dragon epic body is in my future. But anyway, guys, that does it for this video. I would love to hear what you guys think. What do you think is going to happen with Red in general? Maybe even tell me what you think is going to happen with these older cameras, and what do you think Nikon's going to do with this new acquired technology that they have. If you haven't yet, please do like and subscribe. And we just opened our new shop. The link is in the description. We have a lot of apparel that I have personally designed, from hats to hoodies, t-shirts, mugs. So make sure you go check that out. That also helps support the channel. And yeah, we will see you in the next video. Peace.